The Radiophonic Workshop started in 1958 to provide electronic sound and music for BBC radio and television drama. That wonderful bloom of British broadcasting when nobody knew what the limits were. That's the same spirit in which the Radiophonic Workshop was formed, you know, just what can we do with all this technology? The people who founded it were two BBC studio managers, Desmond Briscoe and Daphne Oram, and they were starting to experiment with these new sounds, and because there was no dedicated studio, they would wait till everybody else went home and they'd nick all the gear from all the studios, wheel it down the corridors in Broadcasting House, set themselves up in an electronic music studio, make sounds all the way through the night, and then try and remember where all the gear had come from and set it all up again ready for the 5 o'clock news the next morning. And it was realised after a while that this wasn't the most efficient way of running electronic music studios, so they gave them 2 rooms in BBC Maida, Vale, and that's where the BBC Radiophonic Workshop started. They realised that what they were doing after a while was music, it was electronic music, so it expanded from there on.
We invented or discovered or improvised new textures, and it's the textures. We've taught a generation of youngsters about a new form of music. We were providing something that other people in the composing industry couldn't.
If you wanted the sound effect of a car crash or a door opening, you could go to the sound effects library. If you wanted the sound effect of someone having a nervous breakdown, you need something a bit more creative.
We crashed, banged, hit, stretched, reversed and did everything with tape.
Most things were done using tape, cutting with razor blades and putting things together. Highly skilled, and it took weeks to make things.
It's no good saying, oh, I could do this, if only I could find a razor blade and a pencil. Whatever's available, that is what you've got to use.
Everything was highly original because the sounds were all found sounds, so they might be a cork coming out of a bottle if it was a sort of theme tune.
Anything that twanged or clanged.
Scraping piano strings and all that sort of stuff, which are highly manipulated to get the final sound.
The pièce de resistance was a sink plunger. There were no keyboards.
Being involved in music, being involved in television and radio, being given the opportunity to express myself musically and working with a lot of very interesting and clever people, for me it was the best job in the world.
In 1996, the Radiophonic Workshop could no longer really hold its own in what was becoming a very commercial market. It all had become very affordable. So in 1996, the workshop started to shut down and I was asked to come in really to archive it. So the kind of thing that the Radiophonic Workshop started off doing, which was tape music and these enormous roomfuls of analog synthesizers, they were no longer necessary.
When the workshop closed down about 20 years or so ago, after a while, lots of people would ask us, what was it like? So we came to the conclusion there was a sort of residual interest, you might say, in the work we did. So we thought, well, why not put a band together and play some of our greatest hits?
Having not really been a band at all, it's the most amazing thing to come and actually do gigs. The first one we did was not far from here at the Roundhouse. That was a few years ago now, on all sorts of festivals at Glastonbury. Marvellous. We're playing tonight at the Jazz Cafe, which is in Camden Town. We're doing a set which includes 1 or 2 old favourites and 1 or 2 new things using all the modern gear.
Doctor Who was the second big sci-fi TV show to use the Radiophonic Workshop. The first one had been Quatermass and The Pit. When Dealey Derbyshire did the Doctor Who theme, the bass line is basically a plucked string, a single plucked string. So you'd record the single plucked string, bong, you'd record that on tape, you'd make a loop of it so it went bong, bong, bong. You then record that onto another machine, so you'd have a whole line of these notes. But then you'd vary speed the loop, so you go bong, 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 all the different pitches, and you record those loops all onto the other tape. So you then have sort of half an hour of Ds and half an hour of Es and half an hour of Fs. And then when you make the Doctor Who theme, you go an E, dong, you go a D, done, another E, done, and then a G, done, and that's the way you go through it, and that's how you make music. You cut your notes out of a piece of tape.
Of course, we had a bit of a breakthrough when the VCS3 first came in, because rather than have a 60-foot length of tape going round on a loop, just so you didn't hear the join, it's much easier to do these things these days.
When you come to a digital synth, or when you come to the analog synthesizer with a keyboard, you just go dun 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 dun. It's easy. What I love about technology now is we can reinvent the past, and we can make the past more controllable. One of my favourite synthesizers is the Korg MS-20, which is a keyboard synthesizer. It has a load of knobs on it so you can make a sound, but it also has patch points, so you can get in there and experiment and patch, make more complicated sounds. Other favourite synthesizer of mine is the EMS VCS3, the really early thing with the patch pin, the matrix. So it had 3 oscillators, an envelope, ring modulator, all this kind of stuff, all built into this box. When I first saw the matrix, it looked to me like someone had taken the MS-20, supercharged it, and then, oh look, we found a digital way now of making the VCS3 patch bay, so we'll put that on the right. You can just plug it in and you can twiddle the knobs and you can perform on it. You can create fantastic sounds, but then you've got the patch bay, the pin matrix, but it's now done using buttons. So you can, within reason, patch almost anything to anything, and you get these obscene, absurd modulations going on. So we've got this old technology, but we've bunged a computer on the front of it, given it like a, you know, Prius. It's fly-by-wire really, but it's great because it's the analog, but you're digitally controlled, and there it all is in one box. So it's really clever. Great thing about doing electronic music now is we have the 70 years of history to draw on, not just the tape music techniques, but we also have the analog synthesizers, the new digital controlled synthesizers, the virtual synthesizers, and the computers. We can combine all these technologies.
And now, here is the shipping forecast, issued by the Met Office at 00:15 today.
I used to take on the road a Roland System 100M. It's very heavy, very old, very precious. I love it to bits. But its little 3.5mm jack patch points, and whenever it went in its box, it would get snagged, and I'd have to then take it to bits, and you can't be doing that. As much as I would love to be taking all the original analog technology around with me, it does get broken. Trying to take genuine analog electronic music on the road has been interesting. These guys that I'm working with, they were there at the beginning, that they sort of set the bar. I'm delighted to be involved with it now, but I do think you've got Kraftwerk and Jean-Michel Jarre and Vangelis and all these artists, fantastic artists, who've all helped to shape electronic music, shaping people's perceptions of electronic music and showing us what can be done with it. I certainly think that my colleagues are in there. What these guys were doing in the 50s and 60s, what I was doing in the 70s and 80s, what other people were doing in the 90s, what people were doing last year, all adds to the progression. And the thing is, just mop it all up, just take it all on and just get on that train and just enjoy the way things are developing, because they are developing, and it gets more and more exciting the longer I do this job.
Wireless.